it's Shannon. Thank you for watching. And today we're going to get into the best and worst rooms at Disney's Caribbean Beach Resort. Now, Caribbean Beach Resort was the first of the moderate resorts to be built. It was opened in October 1st, 1988. So it's been around for a while. It recently went through a full refurbishment. The rooms were redone. The whole Port Royale was redone. And it really just, I think it's just really been improved greatly. And the biggest improvement, obviously, is the Skyliner. So the Disney Skyliner, the main hub is Caribbean Beach Resort, and we'll go over that in a second. So the good thing is that when you go to Caribbean Beach, you won't have to, you can go to Pop Century and Art of Animation, you can go to Disney's Hollywood Studios, you can take it straight to Riviera if you don't want to walk, or you can take it straight to Epcot. You will never have to switch. If you go to the main hub from Caribbean Beach, you will never have to switch Skyliners. So if you go to Pop Century, you're gonna have to switch no matter what. You're gonna have to switch at the hub to go to Hollywood Studios or to Epcot. But from Caribbean Beach, you don't have to switch. So that's a huge advantage to staying at Caribbean Beach. So let's get into, there's quite a bit of categories. So let me get into all the categories. So you have a king bed, and the king bed rooms, the interesting thing with them is there's no standard or preferred. It's just king bed. So you really have kind of your choice of where you want to request, because there's no standard or preferred king bed. It's just a king bed category. Then you have standard view fifth sleeper, and that means it has the little trundle or the Murphy bed twin bed that goes under the TV. Then you have water or pool view fifth sleeper. And then you have preferred view, and the preferred view, again, this is the interesting thing, is the preferred view could have two beds, or it could have two beds and a fifth sleeper. So there's no special category for preferred with fifth sleeper. So if you want that fifth sleeper, you can request it without having that category. So keep that in mind. I don't know why they do that. Maybe just because there's so many categories, but we don't need a fifth sleeper, but our son loves those little beds, so those little pull down beds. We would probably, if we were in preferred, we would probably request the pull bed, but that's actually not the area we would book if we did, and I'll get into that in a second. Then there's also the section of Trinidad. So there's different villages, and the Trinidad section is the Pirate View section. And the Pirate View, basically there's standard view and water view. Those are the two views for Pirate View. It's probably my least desirable section, and I'll get into that when we go over it. But I think there's a reason why they made those rooms themed, because people were requesting to not stay in the Trinidad area. With the Skyliner, it's actually a little more desirable because it's probably closer than a couple other areas, but still it's probably the least desirable section. So if you're gonna stay in the Pirate View section, it's probably because your son or daughter loves pirates. If not, I would probably say stay in another section. I'll get into that when we get into the rooms. But those are the different room categories. The villages are Martinique, Old Port Royale, Barbados, Trinidad, Jamaica, and Aruba. So those are the villages, and we'll get into it now. Visiting touring plans.
Here we start at touringplans.com's page dedicated to Disney's Caribbean Beach Resort. Disney's Caribbean Beach Resort was the first moderate resort at Disney, and you can get all the information. There's the overview, and it did undergo a complete renovation not too long ago. There are some pictures of the rooms. Obviously, some do have that fifth sleeper, as you can see here. We'll talk about that in a second. As well as there's the pictures of the bathroom. Talks about handicapped accessible rooms, pirate rooms. So this is where you're just going to find all the information you need to know regarding Caribbean Beach. Now here we have the map of Caribbean Beach, and what you hear all the time about Disney's Caribbean Beach is how large the resort is. And here you can see it is very, very widespread. It actually used to be bigger because they actually tore down some of the buildings and built Disney's Riviera Resort. So there, just keep that in mind that it is very, very widespread. So picking the location of your room is very, very crucial when staying at Caribbean Beach, and that it fits what is going to work for you. So real quick, just kind of going over the areas here. Let's see, this right here is Old Port Royal, Centertown. That's where the food court is. That's the lobby. That's the main area. You have Martinique, Barbados, Trinidad, Jamaica, and Aruba. Those are basically the 5 villages. And that's the order of the buses. So the buses, when they come in, the first stop will be Martinique, then it will be Old Port Royal, Barbados, Trinidad, Jamaica, and Aruba. So if you are staying at Aruba, you are going to be the last stop. So when you're going to a park, that might be great because you don't have to go all the way around. But when you're coming back, it could be a long, drive, and you may not have a seat. Now, right now, because of social distancing, everybody has a seat. So I haven't heard too many complaints about the buses. I think they're sending enough where nobody's really having a problem getting a bus, but just kind of keep that in mind, because if you're at Aruba and it gets full by Trinidad, it's not going to stop at Jamaica and Aruba. So those are just some things to consider. But because of the size of the resort, I am hearing that they are sending enough buses. As you can also see, there's quite a bit of pools at Disney's Caribbean Beach, which makes sense because the resort is so large. So the main pool right here is at Centertown, Old Port Royal, and that's the one where you're going to find the slide. And then you have one in Martinique, Barbados, Trinidad, Jamaica, and Aruba. So each village has their own pool, which is great. But if you want to, like my son loves a slide, you want to be close to this pool because this is going to be the big pool with the splash pad as well as the slide. Also, there are several playgrounds on Disney's Caribbean Beach, and the first one being in Caribbean Cay. So this is a walk bridge, and this is what's called Caribbean Cay. There's picnic tables. There's a small playground, and this connects this side of the resort to the main lobby of Old Port Royal. There are also smaller playgrounds on the beaches of Barbados. I believe it's around here. Trinidad, I believe it's around here, as well as Jamaica, and it's near the pool. So if you are like me and you have a young one that sometimes needs a playground to get off some of that energy, keep that in mind as far as the location. Okay, so now let's get into selecting a room, and I am going to I'm going to start with the area that I think is the least desirable. I won't say it's the worst, but in my opinion, it is probably the least desirable. And I think that is why Disney made these themed rooms, because I think a lot of people weren't requesting or were requesting not to be in this area. So, and that is the pirate rooms, and that is Trinidad. So we're going to click that it's a standard view pirate room. Now, if you have a young child that is in love with pirates, then by all means book this category, because the rooms are themed wonderful. And I know my son who likes pirates would absolutely love being in this room. But keep in mind, to me, it's probably the worst location. It's not close to the lobby. It's not, if you are in building 39, you're far from, the skyline or the lobby. You're far from a lot of things. So, but let's look at the bright side of things and look at which is the area that would probably be the best in the least desirable location of Caribbean Beach. And I would say you want to try and be in buildings 34 or 35. And this is going to give you closer walkway to the main lobby, and as well as to this little walkway to lead you to the Skyliner. So there is obviously a bus stop right in 36, but between 35 and 34, I don't think it's that big of a walk. So I would say you'll just be a little bit closer to the lobby and to the Skyliner. So looking at 34, I really don't think you're going to go wrong. Most of it is standard. These 3 rooms right here are water view, which we'll go over in a second. And again, I think, if I were to pick, that's going to be water view. I'd probably want to be on this side. We always have our car. And I don't worry about if we have a room that's an external entry, I don't worry about a view because you're really not going to be looking out the window that much anyway. In addition, we're usually on a ground floor because that's what we like. So we don't have the windows open because people are passing by all the time. Now, if you're up on, let's say, floor 2, it may not be a big of an issue. But let's see. Let's look at this room right here. And yeah, you got a little bit of a water view, but again, you're not looking out that view because it's not a balcony. That's just outside the room. So I would say if you are staying in one of the pirate rooms, and my computer's taking so long, if you are staying in one of the pirate rooms, I would request 34 or 35. So there are 2 categories in the pirate room category, and the next would be the water view. So let's click on that. And let's see which rooms. Obviously, every single building has a water view, but obviously there's going to be only a few rooms in each. So for building 35, if I had a water view and I was paying for that water view, I would choose building 35. You have this little walkway right here, and you can look and it's right there on the water. So it's really nice. And when you click on it, you'll look, that is 3516, by the way. Let's go up 1 floor and let's see if we can get a better view up there. There's 3547. And yeah, I mean, it's nice. It's shaded and you got a little bit of a water view. So looking on the map, when you go down, it's going to be right here. That's going to give you right to the walkway. You can walk right to the Skyliner. So it's really got a great proximity to the Skyliner. Quite a bit of a walk to the main lobby, especially if you're going there for breakfast for a meal. But you have also your own bus stop right here. And that is the 4th stop on the bus stop out of 6. So I would suggest building 35 if you have a water view in the Pirate View category. Now we're going to go down to the standard view category, and we're going to start with the regular standard view. There are 2 categories. There's one that you chose because that is going to make a difference. You always want to request the room of the category you booked. So as you can see, standard is all on this side here. Now I think before the Skyliner, this was probably not that desirable and makes sense why it was standard. However, now with the Skyliner and the Riviera Resort there, I think it's probably one of the most desirable locations. So because while you can't pull hop to Riviera, you absolutely can walk over there, go to their Topolino's if you wanted to have a character breakfast, or you could go to their quick service, Primo Piatto, which is fabulous. You can just walk around the grounds. And then you also have their Skyliner. So you have 2 options for the Skyliner. You have this one right here, and then you have this one. So if you're going to Epcot, maybe, and you're in building 55 or 56, it makes more sense to just walk over to the Riviera Skyliner and grab it here rather than walking all the way over here to grab the Epcot Skyliner. So just keep that in mind. Now, where would I recommend? Where I think are the best rooms? I think the best rooms are probably going to be in this middle area. You have 45, 51, and for several reasons. One, it gives you that proximity to the main lobby, and you have a playground right here, picnic tables, but you have access to the main lobby and to the big pool with a slide. That would be very crucial for us because even though 55, 56, we'd be close to the Riviera Skyliner, if we planned on using the pool, it'd be a really long walk because this little tiny pool is not going to please my son. Now, there are some trips, especially when we go in December, we really don't plan on using the pool because we're from South Florida and it's usually too cold for us. So maybe those buildings would be fine. So I think it just depends on what type of trip. But if we were planning on using the pool, and especially the main pool, we would probably request either 45 or 51. So let's take a look at 45. And here you can see this is probably going to be water view. So let's look at here. Great location. It's not a bad view. I mean, it's just greenery in a other building, but you can also see proximity right here. You can see the parking lot, very close, very convenient. So it's just convenient. That is room 4518. And that's the parking lot right there. And we go back to the resort map. So there we go. And then you can also see that the playground is right here. So there's a playground right here, as well as a playground on this middle island. And then you have proximity to both Skyliners. So I think 45 is a great option. And then my second choice would be 51. So 51 right here, there's the water, here's the parking lot. I would probably ask for one of these corner rooms, probably right here. Again, I don't mind looking out the parking lot because I'm not really looking out the window. I'd have access to my car as well as easy access to, let's go back. I'd have access to the car and then pretty close access to both Skyliners as well as the walkway to the main lobby. Now, these other buildings here, I don't think they're bad. I think, 41, if you plan on using the main Skyliner quite a bit, this is probably not a bad building, but you're going to be farther away from the main lobby. Now, 56, this is a pretty good walk. Let's say, well, I'm just going to go to the Riviera. It's probably the same about a walk to the lobby of Caribbean Beach, to Primo Piatto at Riviera. You absolutely could do that. But just keep in mind that it's not closer, but it's probably about the same amount of distance. So, again, best rooms in that standard category are going to be 45 and 51, unless you have, let's say, a Epcot intensive trip and maybe you want to go to 55 and 56. Now let's look at the other standard view category, and that is standard view with the fifth sleeper. So let's show, and it's going to be, basically there is one in every building, and this just gives you that drop down Murphy bed. My son loves them. Even though we are only a family with one child, if I could book this category, I absolutely would. It would just be easier to have our son, who's 5, be able to sleep on one of those beds. But the same thing applies. Which building would I request? Probably 45 or 51. Let's look at 45. So we have the buildings here. And again, I would probably request being in this corner room. Murphy bed available in this room is what you see. So I would definitely, request that's 4520. And then look at building 51. And same thing applies. You have close to, basically it's every other room almost. And it's going to be, well, not much of a view there. Pretty much just, some shrubbery there. But, very close to the parking lot, you can see here. And then fairly close to the Skyliner as well. You would just have to go there and you'd have both Skyliners, but more importantly, you'd have a lot of close access to that walkway. And let's see if we can see the walkway from here. And yes, you can. So you can see the walkway. So there's the walkway that's the footbridge over to Caribbean Cay, which is the little island. Very, very convenient to go to the main lobby and not too far from either of the Skyliners. Now, Touring Plans does recommend building 52. Again, I think that's probably a great building as well. But I personally would choose buildings 51 or 45 would be my choice. 46 would probably be my third choice. So now we're going to go over to the preferred category. Now, for the preferred category, there is no option for a fifth sleeper, but I am told that there are some preferred rooms that do have a fifth sleeper. So you can see them here. So if you do book a preferred room and want a pull down, child size pull down, then, click here and that will give you the options. I'm just going to go over the 2 queens because it's pretty much going to be the same in either category, but we'll look at that as well. But here we go. Preferred room, and as you can see, preferred are usually the rooms or the buildings that are closest to the main lobby. So you have Martinique and Barbados. So it covers both of those. Now, they both have their own pool, and then there's the main pool over here. Now, which one would I choose? Absolutely, I would choose to be in Barbados if I booked a preferred room. Reason being is 1, there is a playground there. And 2, it's closest to the main pool. You've got the main pool right here. More importantly, it is closest to the Skyliner. So I would want to be probably in building 32. I think it's somewhere in the middle. You're close to the lobby, and then you'd be close to the Skyliner. I probably, to be honest, if I were staying at Caribbean Beach, I would try and book a standard room. I don't like paying for the preferred. And I think this was preferred before the Skyliner, but now with the Skyliner, I think these are better locations personally. We don't really spend that much time in the lobby, so it really just depends on your family. But if I were paying for a preferred room, I would look at this 32. And again, it's not gonna really matter about view. We like to be on the corner, on the ground floor, and what a view that is. I mean, look at that, some nice greenery. But that's where I would be, because with the 32, you're kind of right in the middle. You have the close proximity to the lobby, the main pool, another pool, and then of course the Skyliner. Now let's look at the preferred room with the Murphy bed. That is not booked as a separate category. When you look on Disney's site, it will say it can sleep 4 or 5. So you just book a preferred room, you could get either. So here we could show matching rooms. I think I already clicked it, but here we go. Let's look at building 32. And again, here are some rooms that have that 5th sleeper. So it doesn't matter to us, that's 3201. So if you have a young child, and this is the Murphy bed is for a child. So if you have, a child that's like, 4, 5, or 6, and will use that Murphy bed, and you've booked preferred, I would try and get and request a room that has that 5th sleeper. But again, my best category would be 32. Now, on the opposite end, you have 24, you have Martinique, 24, 25, 26. These aren't bad. They're the first bus stop. So I don't think these are bad buildings. You have a pool right there. This is the first bus stop. So when you're coming back from the parks, you literally you don't have to wait the whole time. However, when you're getting on, you are going to have to wait quite a bit of time before you get headed to the park. Keep that in mind. But also, you're very, very close to Riviera. And Riviera's food is on this side. So you actually, 24, you'd probably almost, be about the same distance to the lobby and to the Riviera lobby. So it's a nice walk too, because it's right on the beach. But keep that in mind. So if you wanted to be close to the Riviera and you were in preferred, maybe request building 24, because that would give you close proximity to the Riviera as well as to the first bus stop. Now here is where it gets a little interesting. We are going into the water or pool view category, and we're going to start with the 2 double beds. It's going to be pretty much the same. So two queen beds, show matching. Now here's the interesting thing, except it's going to be in every village except for Trinidad, which obviously are the pirate rooms. So those are going to only be pirate rooms, but you have both preferred and standard, but you're getting a water view. So here you really have, if you book a water or pool view, you really have the choice of where you want to stay. And again, personally, I would still choose 45 or 51. I think the same thing applies. But if you wanted to stay preferred and a water or pool view was a little less expensive than a preferred view, it really just depends. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. Then I would say book the water pool view and then request one of these buildings that are in Martinique or Barbados, and you get that preferred area as well as a water view. So just keep that in mind. Personally, I still think 51, 45 are where I would choose, because one, I'd get the water view. Here we go. Let's see if that gives me a nice water view. A lot of greenery, but you do have you can see the water from there. But again, you're going to have that close proximity to the walkway. And actually, let's look at that other room. This is probably going to show you that walkway. Not really. So the walkway would be over here, but it's still going to have you. There's that walkway to the lobby, and then going back to the resort map, you go the other direction, you have the Skyliner here, and then you have the Riviera Skyliner. So again, if I had a water or pool view, I would choose 45 or 51. However, if you want to stay preferred and a water or pool view is a little cheaper, you could save money, book water or pool view, and then request staying in Martinique or Barbados, and take a risk. You might be able to get in that preferred area and save a little money, but just know it's not going to be guaranteed. And just to cover all the rooms, we're going to cover the water or pool view with the 5th sleeper. And again, pretty much it's every building. Same thing applies. I would choose 45 or 51. you could save a little money. Now with the preferred, remember preferred, you don't get that option for a fifth sleeper. So the only way to guarantee a fifth sleeper and possibly get a preferred view would be to book a water or pool view fifth sleeper and then request Martinique or Barbados. So it really depends on what's more important, getting that fifth sleeper or being preferred, and that should depend on which category. Again, but 55 is also not a bad one. 55 is really great. You got a nice water view here right next to the beach. That's beautiful. And then right to the left on this side over here will be the Riviera. So you'd be really close to right over here would be the Riviera Skyliner, and then just walk to the Riviera, which would be very, very convenient. And that's a beautiful view right there. So 55, I would say, is also a good option. You'd have a little bit further walk to the main Skyliner, definitely a further walk to the lobby, but you'd also be pretty close to the Disney's Riviera Resort lobby. So that is also a good option as well. And now we have come to our last category, and that is the king bed category. Here we go, one king bed. Now, again, just like the water and pool view, there is no category for standard or preferred. You're getting a king bed. So if you are a couple, I absolutely would request a king bed. And then you pretty much have choice. Again, I would still choose. Now, look, there's no king beds in building 45. So I would either go with 51 or 46 to be close to the Skyliner and the parking. Now, if I wanted to be close to the lobby, I would probably, request 31 again. The same thing applies. So it just depends on, go back, listen to all the other, if you fast forward and you're just clicking on the king bed, go back and look at listen to the other recommendations I stated. Basically, you just really have to depend on what your trip. Is it going to be a resort intensive trip and you're going to be spending a lot of time at the pool? If so, then you want to maybe be at Martinique or Barbados. If you're going to be doing a park intensive trip and you're going to be going to Hollywood Studios a lot, then I would recommend 46 or 44. If you're going to be going, let's say you're staying here and you're going specifically for one of the Epcot festivals, then maybe 54 is a better, because you'll be right next to the Disney's Riviera Resort Skyliner. So it really just depends on what your trip entails. And for us and my family, every trip is different. Our December trip is usually much more relaxed. We take our time. We spend a lot more time in our room and at the resort. Whereas when we go, let's say in March, April, or May, those are usually short trips and very, very much park intensive. So there, we just want to be close to the transportation. So figure out what works for your family, what is going to work for this specific trip, and base your requests on your needs. Here we are back at my dashboard, and we're going to click on Disney's Caribbean Beach Resort, which will bring us back to the map. And let's say I booked a standard with a child-size pull down, so a fifth sleeper. Show the matching rooms, and we're going to make that request right now. So as I stated, my request would be into building 45. That is where we would want to be. We'd want to be as close to the walkway as possible. So let's say we're going to choose this one right here in the corner, 4520, close to the parking, on the same side as the Skyliner. We're going to click here to make a request for this room during our upcoming stay. And there it is, requesting room 4520. But again, you're not done. You got to click configure room request. My name is populated. You would input your reservation number here. It will say the number of nights you're staying. There's your email. That's my fake email, so don't email me there. And again, as I've stated in other videos, do not change this. This just basically you're stating, I want this area, and that is 4520, and then it gives some other samples. This is so the room assigners know what area you're looking for, and then additional information. So here's my additional information. We like a ground floor room. I've stated that before. And then we want to be in building 45, 51, or 46, order of preference. I'm not stating anything else. I think once you start listing things and making too many requests, it's just harder to determine what it is you want. So here I am, I want a ground floor and I want to be in building 45, 51, or 46. That way the room assigner, if 4520 isn't available, they know, one, my first preference is to be on a ground floor. So maybe there's no ground floor rooms in 45 and they move me to 51. Totally fine with that. I would much rather be in building 51 or 46 on the ground floor than on the second floor in 45. That's just us. So I would save and make sure you get this done 30 days before your trip, because that is when Touring Plans sends them off to Disney. And that's it. Those are the best and worst rooms at Disney's Caribbean Beach Resort.
So there you have it. Those are my recommendations on best and worst rooms, best and worst areas at Disney's Caribbean Beach Resort. Again, as I've always said in all of these videos, it really depends on what works for your family. Do you want to be near the Skyliner? Are you afraid of heights and you want to take the bus everywhere? Do you want to be close to Riviera Resort? Really, there's so many different options. Or do you have a child that loves pirates? So it really just depends on what works for your family and what is most important to you. So with that, make sure you use touringplans.com to request. It is a subscription-only service. It is $15.95 at this moment for a yearly subscription. I will post a link below to join. I get no benefit from it. I don't get any commission. This is not sponsored. I'm just a fan. I love the service and I want to recommend it to people because it really does make planning a Walt Disney World vacation so much easier. So with that, if you like this video, click like, click and subscribe. That way you get a notification every time I post a new video. Bye everyone.